Welcome to the Managing Change series of webinars. Hope you're all safe and sound in your homes while we continue to bring the world's leading experts to you. Today we have with us Miss Sweta Srivastava Vikram. Sweta is an international speaker, best-selling author of 12 books, and an Ayurveda and mindset coach who's committed to helping people thrive on their own terms. As a trusted source on health and wellness, most recently appearing on NBC and Radio Lifeforce, Sweta has dedicated her career to writing about and teaching a more holistic approach to creativity, productivity, health, and nutrition. Her work has appeared in the New York Times and other publications across 9 countries on 3 continents. Sweta is a trained yogi, is on the board of Live Female Founders, and holds a master's in strategic communications from Columbia University. Voted as one of the most influential Asians of our times and winner of the Voices of the Year award. Past recipients have been Chelsea Clinton. She lives in New York City with her husband and works with clients across the globe. Sweta, thank you so much for being with us today. We're really happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me on this, giving a voice to what's so important right now, which is, our own sanity and mental health and well-being. And I'm excited and honored to be a part of this conversation. And the more positivity we can spread forwards, I think we need that at this time.
Sweta, your volume is a little low. I guess our audience is not able to hear you.
Okay. Is this any better?
Yes.
Okay. No, I was saying I'm very excited and honored to be a part of this conversation, and I'm excited that the kind of work that you all are doing, it's imperative to have positivity with us during this time, because that's the only thing that can keep us sane. That's the only thing that is under control.
Seriously, and who could have foreseen this? I mean, being forced to sit at home and just not talking to anybody. None of us could have thought, you'll see something like this in our lifetime. So yes, the morals have been going a little lower. So, you're the best person possibly to talk about this and, how to keep a positive mindset. So we have a few questions for you today, and hopefully our audience will too. So I'll just start with the first one that we have. In these times of crisis, we're seeing a lot of panic. People in general are scared, confused, and irritated. So what role do you think the mindset plays in this situation, and how can we not let this get the best of us?
I'm glad you asked that question, because very often I am asked if none of this is impacting me, because how have I managed to stay positive? And I don't take that as a personal attack, because people are looking for answers. Not to say I have the answers, but I've figured out what works for me. And that is what I can share in conversations like these or with my clients, whatever have you. So the way I look at things is the only thing we can control is our thoughts. So we wake up and we hear about the world coming to an end. We go to bed, we're watching the news about the number. And I live in the epicenter, right, in New York City. Things are scary. And I get these text messages which come from a place of utmost scare. And I'm grateful. But they're like, New York is the epicenter. Do you know? And I'm like, okay, even if I didn't want to know, I would know. So when you get all of that, people forget that we are being very reactive. So the positive mindset, it tells me all I have under control is my now. So I wake up. The positive mindset also comes from gratitude. When I wake up, remind myself, what do I have? Do I have people I love? Do I have a roof over my head? Do I have meals to eat today? No one knows about tomorrow, right? So gratitude is finding those small gifts in the moment on a daily basis. The reality is, at this point, no one knows what will happen 2 days from today, forget 2 years from now, right? And that's what is making people anxious. So I would urge and highly recommend, how about we forget 2 days? Just when you wake up, what is working for you? And it's easy, when people tell me, oh, I got bored watching Netflix, I'm like, you have the luxury. A lot of people don't have Netflix. So it's also that shift in perspective can really impact your positive mind. So it's not about being positive doesn't mean you are clueless and you're not sort of cued into what's happening in the world. It's noticing what's happening, being aware, being mindful, and then saying your gratitude for, okay, at least this is working for me right now and today.
I think we all have to practice that. You just tend to, forget it sometimes. But yes, absolutely. We all have so much. We have food to eat and, people we love with us and time to spend with them. So yes, absolutely. Gratitude is the key. The next one, Sweta, for you is the crisis and the consequent lockdown has forced the entire world online. And while it's good to have the technology that we can utilize to continue to run our businesses, do you think there's a negative side to it as well? Are we going overboard?
100%. And I say 100% with confidence because I was just talking to my husband last night. I was like, the first week, when the lockdown started, or for us here, it's called pause. By the end of the week, I was depleted. And I was trying to understand what really happened because like anyone else, I love my workouts, but I couldn't go to the gym. I couldn't go to the yoga studio. I wasn't commuting to work. I was home. Why was I depleted? And I realized it's a conversation. We forget emotional toll. We only think of physical exhaustion, but what about emotional exhaustion? If I had had 50 Zoom calls that week, everybody was talking about COVID-19. No one was talking about something frivolous, about a movie out there. And I get it. I was too, because it was so new. We were all panicking. So there was something called being too connected. The other thing I'll say is people handle stress differently. So while it's very important to be compassionate towards others, to hold space, it's equally important to show that compassion towards yourself. So if someone wants me to hold space for them while they're anxious, I'm fine with it. That's what I do for a living, and I'm happy to do that even personally. But if somebody expects that I will get pulled into the negativity, that's when I do boundaries. Like, no, I'm there for you, but after a point, I can't have this conversation. So being mindful about how we Okay, is this better? I don't know. I'm like on full volume here. I don't know what else to do. Can you hear me, Surbi?
I guess there's some major issue with the internet today.
I know. So bizarre.
Yeah. So sorry, we couldn't hear you then, and then now we have you. But so I'll just request my colleague Sajal to just take it on in case this happens again. Shweta, I'm so sorry about this.
No, that's okay. I just have to log off by 9 because I have to get to work.
Right, absolutely. So we were just at the last phase that you were talking about, and let's just take it again because we kind of lost you there.
And that's okay, Subi. I mean, this is the time we live in. We'll just repeat ourselves. It's fine. This is one less thing to stress about. So no, what I was saying was there is something called excessive communication as well, like where we are not comfortable to sit with ourselves. People are afraid to be in their own company, which is really sad because if you look at yoga and Ayurveda, they teach you about self-reliance. And the world that we live in, we are very used to, sugar khatam ho gaya, let's run to our neighbors, right? Or at least in India. I'm feeling this. I had a bad day with my boss, a bad day with a friend. You rush to somebody else. We've forgotten to rely on ourselves. And so we are replicating our offline world into the online world by these excessive communications. So it's very important to be compassionate and to be there for others, but it's also equally important to hold space for yourself. Okay, the universe is trying to tell us something, whatever you want to make of it. How can we use this time to pause, to ponder, to really find our own purpose? Maybe this is the time to really take that time to sit with yourself and ask, what is it that I want to do? But if you replicate your offline world into the online world, which is meeting with 30,000, and I'm an extrovert, this is coming from an extrovert. So, meeting with 30,000 people, being in point A, attending 5 events. When are you spending time with yourself? When are you getting to know you? And I think one of the biggest issues in the world these days is people don't know themselves. It's about instant gratification. Someone else is doing something, I'll do it. Someone else is eating something, I'll do it. And this is a great opportunity to sit with yourself and really, as much time as you spend connecting with others, figure out a balance. Spend that much time figuring out what is it that you like to do. You remember our mothers often said growing up, I didn't realize what I've liked because my entire life it was something about the parents, the spouses, the kids. We have an opportunity to really figure out who we are, because the more we connect with ourselves, the kinder we are with others.
Sure, absolutely. So, some countries like India have imposed complete lockdown for weeks, where people have been asked not to leave their premises or homes at all. And this social isolation is leading to a lot of depression and anxiety amongst people. So, how can one utilize this time of lockdown? And are there any activities that you would suggest that one involve oneself into to keep the morale high?
Absolutely. So one of the things I've been thinking about as we go through coronavirus and go see losses of friends, family, jobs, health, all of that, it's just firstly sitting with what does it make you feel. So I look at it as grieving. Grieving has 5 steps, right? So there's a lot of anger, anxiety, and towards the end, for me at least, it took me 2 weeks to go through all of that, stuffing my face with cookies and that extra slice of pie or whatever have you. And then after 2 weeks, I'm it is out of my system. I'm at that last stage of grieving, which is acceptance. This is what it is. So for anyone who is at home, of course, it's taking a toll on physical health, emotional health, mental health, all of that. But now is not the time to say, I'm going to change the world, or I'm going to write that book that I wanted, or I am going to start a new business. Sure, do that, but don't take on that productivity pressure. So the minute you let go of that pressures, automatically your mental health starts to feel better because you're reducing your anxiety. Because, there are all these gurus who are telling you, now is the time, you do this. No, we are grieving. We really don't know if we have a tomorrow. Right? So how are you being kind to yourself? Then small things like having a routine in this place. I cannot emphasize enough. There are enough people who are watching Netflix until 2 a.m. They wake up in their pajamas, they log in at work. This is under your control. Go to bed at a certain time, wake up at a certain time, shower, drink your tea, coffee, whatever little exercise you do, log into work. So creating that routine gives you a sense of control. So it's not about being a better person. It's about giving your mind that something is under control. And I've been asking this as a writer, as a coach, asking people, are weekdays easier right now, weekends? And a lot of people say weekdays, and primarily because there's a routine. If you have kids, you're helping them. If you have a job, you have to, dress up. If I'm doing an interview, I have to be a certain way. You are dressed up a certain, and this is good. So even if you're not doing any of those things, dress up, shower, get into a routine, and then India especially, it's the land of yoga. And people have different beliefs when it's so scientific, yet people have different beliefs. So I'm not judging it. But something as simple as pranayam, some stretching, there are gazillion YouTube videos of how to do weight training, exercising. We are stuffing ourselves with, thoughts and news and media and all kinds of nonsensical food. Spend some time working out. You don't have to get out of the house. With my dad, every morning we talk and I tell him and he was telling me just last night, he's thanks to you, I'm doing cardio. He's a 70-plus-year-old man. And I'm again, you don't have to run. 30 minutes, 20 minutes, time them. And if you walk thrice a day, 20 minutes each, that's still 60 minutes. Start to read. There are so many games. I grew up in times when there was no internet. And we did these 36-hour train rides, visiting people. You kept yourself entertained. We are very spoiled. So it's also taking yes, it is difficult. I'm not trying to diminish that. But it's also looking at what can you do? Like, okay, it doesn't have to be like this massive dream project, but you can exercise at home. Instead of cribbing about, the cooking lady doesn't show up, get creative in the kitchen with your family, with your children. Simple things like that. Like I said, meditation might help. What do you find joy in? It comes back to our earlier conversation. What do you find joy in? If you don't learn to sit with yourself, if you don't find peace in your own company, you will never know what brings you joy. For some people, it might be watching Netflix that brings joy, but know that it brings you joy, because for a lot of people, mindless TV is what depresses them. So it's connecting with yourself that can really help. And I'd be very curious to see where we are a few months from now, physically, emotionally, and mentally, because it's taken a toll. There is no denying. But you know what? This is what we have right now. So either we have a choice to whine about it and complain and not take care, and then have like these array of lifestyle-induced physical diseases and emotional stressors, or you know what? Pick up a pair of sneakers, wipe them clean that you can wear them at house, walk thrice a day for 20 minutes each. Right? Like, how do I get creative? Watch something funny on YouTube. You don't always have to be cerebral. So simple things like that can be helpful. And again, connecting with people who bring you up. Don't just connect with every Tom, Dick, and Harry. What conversations that nourish you? What can you learn? Simple things can help us take care of our mental health.
Absolutely. Well said. So also for working professionals, Sweta, who are now forced to work from home. I mean, of course, you have to work. How can they take care of their mental well-being?
So that's a great question. One of the things that I recommend is adding those pauses in your day. Just because you're at home, don't roll out of bed at 6 and work till 9 p.m. Would you do that when you were in the office? No, you wouldn't. So have like these 20-minute breaks in your days in your calendar, whether it's a chai break, water break, just a stretch break. And simple things, when you're sitting on your laptop, like wrist rolls, your neck rolls, all of them release stress, or like just gentle turning, right? Alternate nostril breathing. So like every 2 hours, give yourself 10 to 15 minutes, and like have a full calendar, but also know when to stop. Just because you're not commuting, if you were commuting, you wouldn't be working until 9 p.m., right? You would factor in that, I leave work at 6 or 7, it takes me so much time. So stop work then. This doesn't mean that you become a slave to technology. And I think a lot of people feel, if I work 16 hours, I'm at my productive best. No, you're not. You're productive best when you're taking care of yourself, when you feel your family is not getting neglected, when your health is not getting neglected. I promise you, Surbhi, if people don't exercise and continue to feed themselves absolute nonsense when it comes to whether food or news, in 2-3 weeks, they'll see a lack of motivation. They will not want to move. It's just science. It's pure science of why that is happening. So you have to add breaks. You have to dress up. I cannot emphasize enough. Don't just wear your pajamas and show up to work. Like, treat it like you would go to work. And you have to honor that just because you're with your family, everyone doesn't need to like make like this massive meal. How did you work when you were in the office? Treat your lunch like that. And dinner is a meal with the family. Do that. Even activities like end of the day, you can do some stretches or, yoga with your kids. So there is always a way, but it's again the mindfulness. Take a step back. How do I organize my calendar? How do I fit in these things? And yes, it's a working lunch. So it's a working lunch. It doesn't have to be a 10-course meal with 10 people in the family. So stop taking these pressures which you don't need to.
Right. So I think you've already answered the next question that I had, that, in the absence of access to gyms or running tracks, how do we stay fit at home? So, you said yoga already.
But also like simple cardio, like I said, walk in the house. I mean, whether you live in an apartment or a house, even if it's like a 500 square foot apartment, right? It doesn't sound exciting, but you know what? We're not looking for excitement. We're looking at survival at this point. So do that. There are incredible YouTube videos on how to make your core stronger, how to tone your abs. Like we live in times where there is so much. If you wanted to, every hour, like block your calendar for an hour. That is your workout time. You might not feel more. I'm one of those people, like I said, I'm an extrovert. I teach yoga and I also practice yoga. So I like being in my weight training studios, hanging out with my friends or colleagues. I don't have that now. Again, either I can stuff myself with potato chips and say, I don't have that. Or, okay, I don't have that, but let me keep my core strong. Because also it's not the time to be selfish. If we can take care of ourselves, we are putting less pressure on the healthcare system. Hospitals don't have the space, they don't have the beds. Our nurses, healthcare workers, doctors, they're all falling ill. Because of our insensitive and inconsiderate lifestyle, if they have to come take care of this, how does that work on your conscience? So just think of the bigger picture. You want to help, take care of yourself. You'll be helping the healthcare system.
Absolutely. I think that's the best point you made. I mean, you can't be selfish in these times and put further pressure on the healthcare system. It's already struggling enough. So, Shweta, the last question. Sorry, you were saying?
I just wanted to add one more thing. A lot of my clients, they're like, meditation seems very daunting to them. And I've been teaching a lot of free meditation sessions ever since coronavirus hit, because I don't think wellness should be a privilege. Healing is everyone's right. And the first thing I tell them is, don't get cerebral about it. Sometimes just sitting, or when you're walking, don't listen to music. Just feel how your feet feels on the floor. That in itself is meditation, because you're just focused on what you're doing, right? Just sit with your hands on your belly and feel when you breathe. How does that feel when your belly presses again? 5 minutes. That's meditation. Meditation is extremely integral to our well-being at this point, because it helps you stay centered. It literally cleans up and clears up your brain. It calms your nervous system. It reduces your anxiety. It lowers your stress. When you do all of that, you're not taxing the healthcare system. You're not taxing the body, because when we do emotional eating when we are anxious, when we're nervous. If you're not nervous, why would you do emotional eating? Then when you want to sit and eat a bowl of ice cream, like, I own this. Today I want to enjoy a glass of wine or a bowl of ice cream or gulab jamuns, whatever have you. Instead of, I don't know what has happened, so I'm going to eat a dozen of those. There's a different mindset, right? So yeah.
The last one is, how can we contribute in the battle against COVID-19?
So there's so many simple ways and big ways, right? So for a lot of us, we are on social media, just the world we live in, and we're like scrolling. Be mindful in how you scroll. So I'll give you an example. I have a friend here in New York who's a doctor. He shared something on Facebook, like in his hospitals, they're looking for masks because we're out of masks. I have another friend from a different group who is a designer. Stores are shut, and she was like, oh, my friends and I, we've come together, we are making these masks, do you know anyone? And I was like, actually I do. So I connected them both, and now hospital in Brooklyn has these masks because these two connected.
Oh wow.
Things like that, right? So pay attention. The other thing is, what can we do? And it's removing ego from this equation. Like, you're not a doctor, calm down. It's not your time to shine. You can shine by being less selfish, so taking better care. In my case, like, I offer free Ayurvedic workshops, self-care workshops, and meditation workshops for now. Doesn't mean that's going to be my business model, right? But the point is, at this point, this is what I can do. I can help others who are taking care of others. So like, see how you can help from whatever all of us are of use. You just have to figure out, how can I help? Right? Like if someone, like, for instance, I work in wellness, so it's different, but if someone works in PR and branding and marketing, and they're like, what can I do? Maybe you can help these people, designers who are making masks, help them brand their brand so more doctors and nurses find out. So it all goes back, Surbhi, to sit with yourself. Sit with yourself, find out, these are my strengths, this is how I can help. Okay, these are my networks. Ask people, what can I do? I literally go to Facebook groups and say, I'm not going to charge you for this. I'll offer you 20 minutes of free meditation. Do you need it? And it's incredible. This afternoon, like after I finish my day job, like I am working with a board of directors for nonprofits, because they're very stressed. Nonprofits are not doing very well right now in this economic climate. I was like, I'll give you nutritional and meditation counseling. That's what I can do. So not all of us have to be at the forefront in front of hospitals. What can I do? It's kind of silly. But whatever you do, like what you all are doing right now, you're bringing experts together to share their opinions and their expertise of how it can help people deal with COVID-19. You're helping. It's a big difference. So we all have to understand this and accept that we all bring value, and we all have to leave our ego aside on what that value means. Every little bit helps at this point. Like I have friends who share about, this university is offering free courses. So it's there. I might not have joined it, but I know, hey, I want to do that. Or if someone else is looking for it, you know what? These are free courses that I've heard about. Or people are just making these masks, stitching these DIY masks at home and giving it to the neighbors. So that's the whole point. Or even maintaining social distancing. If we did that, that would be a lot at this point, like contributing to the by flattening the curve and, stopping the spread.
Seriously, so, I mean, that's great advice, I guess. I mean, the first thing you can do is social distancing, and then, just, but yeah, thank you so much for the straight talk, Shweta. That was really needed, and, just to get it back to the basics, sit with this yourself, with yourself, meditate, do yoga, exercise, just, be mindful of yourself. So
right,
thank you so much.
So be like, if you're eating that extra slice of pie or extra cookies, don't kill yourself over that. We are anxious, but just remember to move your body. Because again, remember, you don't want to be a liability on an overtaxed healthcare system.
Absolutely.
Or to your loved ones.
Well, thank you so much, Shweta, for your time. It's been a pleasure having you and, talking to you. And we'll hopefully do another session with you since we've had so much, pleasure. But your time is short now.
I would love to. And I'd be happy to talk about Ayurveda. I'm happy to do a meditation session, whatever people need at this point, whatever helps others.
Absolutely. I'll absolutely reach out to you. We're not taking questions right now since we're a little short on time. Okay, I still have one.
Sure.
Okay, Piyush, just go ahead, please. You can type the question. Piyush, you'll have to type the question, please.
I think people are still figuring out technology. Everyone is using it. So much has changed so quickly.
So he says, I'm keen to know what kind of mental status is your population right now, on right now, as they're losing so many people each day. Mental status.
Sorry, can you say that again? Your voice broke.
Sure. So he's saying, what is the mental status of the US population right now as they're losing so many people each day?
Every individual is different. And that's something that Ayurveda will tell you. Everything is customized. How people even process emotions is differently. I have friends who are sick. So I'm taking it a lot more personally than someone who doesn't know anyone who's sick. Or people who've lost loved ones. Their emotional state would be very different. People are on, I would like to believe majority of people are being conscientious. They are on high alert. They are embracing this new way of life. But, foolishness is everywhere. There are some people who cannot think beyond themselves. And that is something that really makes me livid, because the least we can do at this point is take care of others and take care of ourselves. And by taking care, you're not even cooking a meal for 30 people. You're just doing social distancing. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for your time, Shweta. It's been a pleasure having you.